So Stats New Zealand's latest data came out this week showing that New Zealand's citizen net migration loss is at record levels. The net migration loss of 46,400 New Zealand citizens in the September 2025 year was larger than the net loss of 44,800 in the September 2024 year, and just short of the provisional record loss in the May 2025 year. New Zealand is bleeding out its best and its brightest, and this government seems completely unwilling or incapable of doing what needs to be done to fix this disaster. Now, I know that the National Party is not solely responsible for this hemorrhaging of Kiwis. Jacinda Ardern, Megan Woods, who was the housing minister at the time, Grant Robertson, and the man swimming so far out of his depth that it's hard to envisage how the hell he got there in the first place, Adrian Orr, destroyed New Zealand by making the housing market explode to absolutely insane levels after they had already inflated to insane levels between 2015 and 2019. This was shocking to most Kiwis because Jacinda supposedly understood the house prices were too high. But when she got into power, all of a sudden, it wasn't too much of an issue. All of a sudden, she had much bigger and much more important social issues to focus on. So rightly so, this enraged young Kiwis. So much that they allowed Luxon to take power. Now, this is the problem with democracy. Sometimes you only get to choose between two complete train wrecks, hoping that the wreck you have chosen is going to be slightly less damaging to yourself. But unfortunately, when Luxon got into power, the first thing that he does is reinstate interest deductibility to landlords, effectively giving them billions of dollars in taxpayers' money. And these are the people who are already sucking up billions of dollars in accommodation supplements and who have already seen their wealth explode during Adrian Orr's nightmare regime. Obviously, that was the final straw for many young Kiwis, and they have decided to leave the country behind that has left them behind, and that's fair enough, isn't it? Luxon doesn't deserve to be a leader of young Kiwis, by the way. He has shown time and time again his total indifference to the damage that he is causing them. Just look at the latest Stats New Zealand labour market statistics. Youth not in employment, education or training, NEET. So this includes youth actively looking for work who have gone through education and training in their specific fields but just cannot get a job. And this data compares the September 2025 quarter with the June 2025 quarter. Males aged 15 to 19 was 10.7%. That's up from 9.9% last quarter. Males aged 20 to 24 was 15.7%, and that's up from 15.1% last quarter. Females aged 15 to 19 was 10.6%, and that's up from 10.4% last quarter. And females aged 20 to 24 was 18.6%. That's up from 16.8% last quarter. So we are told that the seasonally adjusted number of unemployed people was 160,000. And that's compared with 148,000 in the September 2024 quarter. But that is not the whole story. Just look how bad the situation really is. The total underutilised number of people is 406,000. And that consists of underemployed, unemployed and potential labour force. There's so many Kiwis who are not able to find work at the exact same time that Luxon is letting in 112,600 new people. And many of the people that he is letting in will happily work for the minimum wage because, like we've shown in a previous video, the New Zealand minimum wage is 20 times the average wage of the countries some of these people are originating from. Now, I don't blame these people. I think they are smart for using the greed of the New Zealand government to better their families' situations, and anyone would do it if they had a chance. But this is coming at a cost to young Kiwis, which is something that I can never agree with. And then what does Luxon say to the young Kiwis who he is keeping out of a job?
And to our young people currently aged 16 and 17, I'd just say start thinking about the training, education or work opportunities you might pursue when you're 18. There is a huge range of opportunities out there. It's an incredibly exciting world. But the world doesn't owe you a living, and nor, except in limited circumstances, do taxpayers.
Yes, young Kiwis, the world doesn't owe you a living. The let them eat cake mentality of Luxon is starting to go off the charts lately. And here he is again.
If you can work, you should work. 18 and 19-year-olds who don't study or work and can't support themselves need to be supported by their parents or their guardians, not by the taxpayer. So that's what we're doing to help young people to avoid spending a life on the benefit.
And here is the icing on the let them eat cake.
We all know New Zealand has great restaurants, and soon so will the rest of the world, because Michelin is coming to New Zealand and its guide will showcase the very best of our food, our wine and our hospitality to the whole world. Of course, what it means is we'll be welcoming more visitors from all around the world who want to experience the very best that New Zealand has to offer. That's great news for Kiwi businesses, creating more jobs, lifting wages and growing the economy too.
Struggling New Zealand taxpayers are forking out $6.3 million to get rich foreigners to come to New Zealand and eat posh meals while so many Kiwis are struggling just to put food on the table. Once again, Luxon's elite mates are being prioritised over your average Kiwi, and it's happening time and time again. What will it be in the future? Some sort of Kiwi Squid Games or something? Now listen, Luxon is obviously a snob. He tries to be just like your average Kiwi, but I don't know, he just doesn't seem to be able to pull it off. What do you reckon? And if he is a snob, he's a snob. And that's just what he is. I don't think he realises how hard it is for your average Kiwi. And I don't think he sees the hypocrisy of telling young Kiwis that the taxpayer doesn't owe you a living, as he siphons up taxpayers' money for himself. And yes, there have been many New Zealand leaders who are snobs, and some of them were capable, but I feel a few have been so far out of touch than Luxon is. The latest polls show a surge towards Labour after their capital gains tax announcement. And look at this headline: Labour still needs to Patty Maori. What a lot of people are forgetting is that Winston is an opportunist. He knows that on many issues, it's hard to slide a cigarette paper between Labour and the National Party. So it's no big deal for him who he goes with just to retain some power. I think over the next few months we will see him causing friction within the NACT alliance to show that he is his own man. And this will cause the National Party even more issues. So if the National Party do want to have a chance of winning the next election, they really need to do something that shows they finally get it. They need to stop importing cheap foreign labour and instead let Kiwis fill these jobs. Without the constant suppression of wages, Kiwis will finally get a fair wage and take up more of the less popular jobs, like in the aged care sector for example. The low wages is the only reason that they're not taking up these jobs now. So whilst the big businesses rake in billions of dollars, they pay their foreign staff peanuts, and this has to stop. The National Party also need to get their RBNZ lapdogs to let the Ponzi slide back down to 2019 levels, so that young Kiwis can no longer feel that they have to leave. And I mean, at 2019 levels, most homeowners will still be a massive profit. So 2015 levels will be better, but for now, I suppose we could all compromise at 2019 levels. The National Party also needs to phase out the accommodation supplement for landlords because, like we've said, we all know that landlords are the main beneficiaries in this artificial high rent setting scam. Obviously, the National Party won't walk back the landlords' interest deductibility route, but if they come up with some other deterrent towards landlords, it will absolutely help their chances of re-election next time, because right now, whether they like it or not, the voter base is changing, and as each year passes it will move further and further away from their current position. In Britain and Australia, the Conservative and Liberal parties are almost insignificant at this point because they could not work out that the general populace have had enough of the wealth gap widening status quo. If the National Party don't do something soon to show that they finally get it, then they will almost certainly become irrelevant too. Now Hipkins has played an absolute blinder with his move against the richest in society for the betterment of the poorest. And you only have to listen to the wailing from the bought and paid for property propagandists to see that a capital gains tax is the landlord class's biggest fear. So the clock is ticking. Mr. Let Them Eat Cake Luxon. Change course or lose the election. It's as simple as that. So thanks for watching, guys, and please give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers for that.